Right. Hello and welcome to the Liverpool Connection podcast. I'm your host Daz. I've got Steve with me, and today's special guest is ex-footballer Roy Heaney. Hiya, Roy.
Hi mate, how you doing?
Good. I guess let's get straight into it and have a bit of backstory from you. So when did all this start? All this, wanting to be a footballer?
Wow, probably I guess from my earliest memories, you know what Liverpool's like. It's a city that its passion for football runs very deep, and in families, very early on, if you're a blue or a red, your dad makes sure that he makes a decision. He makes sure you're aware of where your allegiances are very early on. And my dad was a red, and obviously made sure that's the way I went. And my earliest memories, I guess, were around 5 or 6. We're from a pretty, I would say, poor part of Liverpool, from Liverpool 8, Toxteth. And there wasn't many places around at that time where you could play football. There was one green area we had, which was a park, which wasn't really a walking distance. So we basically played on the old bomb sites, believe it or not, from those times, from World War II. And we were playing on concrete and bricks, and there was all sorts of stuff there. But as kids, you don't care, and you just, I remember my mum got a knock at the door saying, you better get out there, Roy's throwing himself all over the place on the concrete, and he's going to end up really injured, But from that age, from 5 or 6, I was hooked really on football. And I guess it's going to sound a bit daft, but it's what I always wanted to do, even from that age. And I was never really within any doubt that that's what I was going to do. And, along the way, a lot of people would say to me, "Oh, Roy, it's a dream, but that's all it is. You need to concentrate on your education. Becoming a footballer it's a big ask, and many would like to do it and never get there, but it never put me off. It was just something that I had in my sights from a very early age, and I never really let go.
Because I know you got signed by Liverpool in '75, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You were 15 or 16 then?
I was 15. Yeah.
15.
Before that, you probably, obviously, you're from Liverpool, and you know the way the system works there. They have, in those times, Liverpool didn't recruit players until you were 15. They weren't allowed, or any club for that matter in the UK. So you had the city teams, Liverpool city team, which were, all the schools in the area. And I was 11 when I went for a trial. There were 500 kids going for a trial, and they had to pick a squad of 22. And again, I think nobody thought it was going to happen. Everyone was saying, "Don't build your hopes up." But I was lucky enough to be picked in the 22, and I was a regular, and I never missed a game that year. And the under 11s go through up to the under 15s, and it's when you become 15 that's when clubs start looking at you. And we played in the Football Association Schools FA Trophy, which that year we were lucky enough to win. We played Slough in London in the final, and it was a well-documented final in Liverpool. It was in all the media, and it's still talked about to this day. We actually beat them. I played at Anfield in the final, and we beat them at Anfield in front of about 10,000 fans. It was not bad for an under-15 game. We beat them 4-2 at Anfield. And then we played them at Slough Town's ground, which was a big step down from Anfield, really. And we lost in the second leg 1-0, but we won an aggregate 4-3. And it was after that game that I was approached by West Bromwich Albion, another team in blue, which I won't mention. You probably guess, and Liverpool. But Liverpool, no matter, even at that time, I knew it was going to be hard to make the grade at such a great club in the 70s. But once Liverpool come in for you, and I don't think it's changed now. It's there's only one option I was going to pick, and that was the Reds.
Yeah, you got to say yes.
Yeah.
Your dad will disown you.
Well, yeah, yeah, he would have. Yeah, my dad was mad red, and he was obviously so proud. And you know, my dad's not here now, God bless. But you know, he was really proud, and I think that was another big thing for me at the time, signing for, but not just for me, but for my dad, you know, and family.
So it's weird to even say that, like, you got your big break, obviously,
Yeah.
you know, getting there, but then you got your actual big break, you know, the broken leg.
Yeah. I look back. There were amazing times. I mean, there was out of the Liverpool schoolboy team that I played for. There was two of us actually picked to go and train with the first team for the whole of the summer holidays. So as a kid of 15, you know, you're asked to go and train with your heroes. It was just amazing. I used to go to Anfield every day. In the morning time, we get there for 9 o'clock, get on the bus, get changed, get on the bus to Melwood on the first team coach with the first team. And it was a bit surreal because I remember the first day looking around and I could see faces. Emran Hughes was there, Tommy Smith, Ian Callaghan, Kevin Keegan, you know, all Stevie Highway, Ray Clements, all the great names. And it was the dream had come true in a sense that that's what I dreamed of, and it was happening. I was there, but I was 15 years of age, so it was difficult to take on board and really realise what was happening at that time. And we had the 6 weeks training, which we did with the first team and the reserves, and played in a couple of games for the reserves against the first team. I remember being against Stevie Highway. I was full back, was a right back, and Stevie had knocked the ball past me, and Stevie was quick, but I have to say I was quicker even at 15. And I remember catching him up and throwing the ball away from him in the box. And I don't think Ronnie Moran was too impressed, so we gave a penalty. There was no way it was a penalty. You know, Ronnie gave a penalty, and obviously the first team scored. But it was surreal, and the first day especially. You know, we got there that morning, and the after that, Bob Paisley was in charge, but Ronnie Moran did all the training, and you paired up with someone, and Ronnie said to me, he said, "Roy, you're with Kevin," and it was Kevin Keegan, you know, and he was a hero of mine, obviously, at the time, and one was just passing the ball to one another, doing a few tricks, keeping the ball up, keeping uppies. I just remember the ball kept hitting me because I think my mouth was hit the floor, and I just kept looking at Kevin Keegan thinking, oh my God, this is Kevin Keegan, you know. But I was a young kid, and I was living a dream. And that 6 weeks was amazing. I learned so much. A little bit out your depth sometimes, yeah. You know, it's a big ask for a 15-year-old to go and play at that level. But we did our bit. It was a great 6 weeks, which I'll always remember. And the first game for the 18 came up, as I say, 6 weeks later, and we were playing Tranmere Rovers, and I'd obviously been looking forward to it for a fortnight before the game, to pull that shirt on, to wear that, you know, live a bird on your chest, as they say. It's a moment I'll never forget. And the game was about 6-7 minutes old, that's all, and I played from right back. I played the ball down the gully towards the centre forward, and their striker came in very, very late, took me from behind, and did the tibia just below the knee joint on the growth plates, which I didn't know at the time. I just remember the pain, and you know, as a young kid, it was pain was pretty horrendous, and took me to hospital, and they knew they had to do surgery immediately. And I remember just before I went down to surgery, I had a couple of visitors, and Bob, the gaffer was there, and you know, it was Bob Paisley, and he just patted me on the head and, you know, said, all the best, son, you know, let's hope everything goes well. And I went down for surgery. So it was bitter and sweet, you know, great memories, but pretty dark at that time, really.
Yeah, because when you come back from any injury, it's going to take some time, and then I read that then they start to question you: is he going to have his pace back and everything? So that's got to hurt when you think you have.
It was probably the worst time of my young life. I got back it took me a year to get back, and Liverpool, obviously I was still on the books, and I trained for another 3-4 months. But it was a bad break. I hadn't even been told. The sad thing was, and this is how different things were then in the 70s, I hadn't been told how serious the injury was. I knew I broke my leg, but I didn't know that it had been broken on the growth plate, which obviously calls into question whether that leg's going to grow properly, whether it's going to heal. And I think Liverpool, obviously, at that time, they must have had medical advice, and the medical advice must have been, look, he's going to be very lucky whether, he actually continues his career. This could be a career-ending injury. And I remember getting myself back to near full fitness. But all the other young lads had had a good 18-month start on me, really, and they were all going for their apprenticeships. Mm-hmm. It was at that time, and I'd obviously had those 6 weeks, and then the 8 minutes in the game, and I still felt I was good enough, and I still felt that this wasn't going to, hamper me. And I remember asking Tom Saunders if they were going to offer me an apprenticeship, and it's pretty brutal. I mean, it's still brutal now, and it was brutal then. And let's be honest, it's a business. It is a business, and they had a business to run. And Tom's sort of answer to me was, "Look, I'm really sorry, son, but it was such a bad break. You're never going to get your pace back, and your strength in the tackle, that's going to be affected. And given that, we just can't take a chance and offer you a contract," which I was devastated. I was absolutely devastated. And, the dream was over, or I thought it was initially. I thought, well, Liverpool telling me that's it, I'm finished. I'm never going to have this. This dream's never come true. And I guess for about 24 hours, that's how it felt. But if we're nothing else, I would say, as a Scouser, we're a resilient lot,
Get knocked down, get back up.
Yeah, that's Liverpoolians. That's what we're made of. And I decided that I was going to prove them wrong pretty early. That wasn't going to be the case. And that one day, I was determined I was going to play against Liverpool and show them that they were wrong. I still love the club. I must be honest. I'll be honest with you, and it's a funny story in a sense, but it's sad as well. The week had been, I was told that was the end. Liverpool playing Everton in the derby, and I was that devastated and upset with the club initially. I thought, that's it. I'm going to be an Everton supporter. I'm not supporting Liverpool ever again. I'm going to support Everton. So my best mate was an Everton supporter, and we went to match. And God forgive me, but I put a blue shirt on, and but by half time, I just couldn't take it. I ripped it off and put a red one on. I just couldn't do it, even with the hair. But so for 45 minutes, I was an Everton supporter, but I couldn't do it.
I know it has feedback on here, so I can't.
Well, at least it was only for 45 minutes.
Plus 5 minutes, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't do it. I could not put that jersey on. You couldn't pay me enough money.
Well, I'll never forget it. To my disgust, I'll never forget I did that. But look at Jamie Carragher. Jamie Carragher was an Everton supporter. Won a blue shirt for how many years?
Yeah. There's a lot of footballers that Everton supporters.
Well, Peter Reid was a red. He'll never admit it, but Peter Reid was a true red, and then signed for Everton. And all of a sudden, he's a mad blue. But Reedy and I go back a few years, but Reedy was a red and obviously became a blue.
So you did eventually play against Liverpool, didn't you?
Mm.
Which must have been like yeah,
bittersweet again.
Yeah, up yours.
It was in a sense. I'd gone to Bolton. I played sort of non-league football for a couple of months, and Bolton Wanderers and Wrexham had looked at me and both offered me a contract. And you know, Wrexham were struggling in Division 2 then. Bolton were an up-and-coming team. They were in the old second division, but looked as if they were going to be promoted to Division 1, which is now the Premiership, obviously. So, you know, I looked at it and thought, there's obviously more of a chance of me playing against my old club, playing for Bolton Wanderers, than going to Wrexham. And Wrexham was great little club. Met Brian Flynn, an old player there, tremendous. Helped me a lot later on in my career. He became head of the PFA, Brian, and great character. But I chose Bolton, and they offered me an apprenticeship initially. And I went straight into the reserves because one of the reasons they signed me was because I'd been a Liverpool player, and I think most clubs will tell you if you play for Liverpool at any level, then you're half decent, you've got half a chance. So I think Bolton had looked at me, seen that I'd been at Liverpool for a while, and you know, they thought they could turn me into a player. And I went there, and my first game for Bolton was at Anfield against Liverpool, and it was in the Central League, the reserves at the time, and Tommy Smith was playing for them for the Reds. He was coming towards the end of his career. Smithy was playing. Phil Thompson played. Howie Gale, who became a good friend. Howie Gale was playing. Thank God I wasn't playing right back in that game. I would have played right back against Howie because he was lightning quick. And we were drawing 0-0, and I came on for the last 20 minutes. And it was a great feeling, stepping out at Anfield, a couple of thousand people there. That didn't matter. The atmosphere was still there. And I did quite well. Got the ball at one stage, and Smithy closed me down, and I knocked it to his right and went to go round him on his left. And he took me down from about hip height. And I was on the floor, and he stood on me. And he said, "Do that again, son, and I'll break your leg." But you know, he didn't say leg. He obviously said a few words before that. But that's what Tommy did. Tommy tried to intimidate people, and he was quite an intimidating figure, you know. But you know, I think I was that much in the zone then, and as you say, I was determined to show and prove. Well, you said I was never going to come back. I'm probably quicker than I ever was, and I'm stronger than I ever was. And you know, I'm not the finished article, and certainly wasn't. But you know, I'd not made the grade because I was still only an apprentice at that stage. But you know, it was great to sort of say, "Here I am. I'm still playing."
So who was it? Who was it that put their arm around you at the end of the match from Liverpool coaching staff? It
was the late John Bennison. John sadly died about a year or two ago, and he came into the dressing room, which was a great touch for me because John signed me at Liverpool at that stage, and he came in and he went straight up to me. He said, "Bloody Roy Heaney," he said, "Well done, son." He said,
"Dead black, right?
Great to see you back, you know."
If this shirt isn't black enough, then I'll just come swim with you.
That must have been, you know, good for you just to get that like hug of like approval.
It was because John was, you know, John was part of the boot room, and obviously that boot room is synonymous, will go down in history. He was part of the original boot room, and it was amazing. It was a great feeling, and it was vindication, as you say, in a sense that John had come up and said well done and recognised that I'd come back.
So after that, like you were at Bolton to 81, right?
Yes, I signed pro forms the year after again, which was a big landmark really, because you know every club takes 8 to 10 apprenticeships on, and out of that 8 to 10, you may get 2, sometimes 3, but usually 2 of those will turn pro. And I was offered my pro contract. I'm smiling because I remember the wages I was offered. It was just slightly different to today's wages, you know. I remember going in and I didn't have a clue what I was going to ask for. And the gaffer then was a man called Ian Greaves. He was one of the Busby babes in Greaves. In fact, he got his chance in football because of what happened in Munich. And he obviously was a Man United regular when he played. And he offered me my first pro contract. And I didn't have a clue what to ask for. And anyway, he offered me £60 a week, which to me in those days, you know, 77 was a few bob, but it wasn't nothing like what they're on now, you know. But it was, for me, you know, I had to play for £20 a week. I just wanted to pull that shirt on and be a professional footballer and, you know, and build up. And my aim, obviously, one day was to get back to Liverpool, you know, and like a few lads have done. And that's what I would have liked to have done. But yeah, I was there for 5 years. Didn't get as many games with the first team that I would have liked. I played 3 games, which was frustrating at times because, you know, the gaffer was very loyal to his long-term players, and there was a couple of occasions as well. We were playing Everton at Goodison Park, and I was playing. I've been told on the Thursday that was actually to make my debut against Everton at Goodison, which was great. You know, couldn't wait for that. And Thursday usually had a game reserves versus the first team, and I played in the first team, so obviously great feeling. And I went up for a header, and there was a lad that brought from Ireland on trial, and it just came right across me with his elbow, broke my nose, broke my cheekbone. So I obviously didn't get to make my debut against Everton. So that never happened. That never happened at that time. I think I was 17 then, and it just didn't happen. Obviously, I had to go to hospital. My nose had to be fixed, plus the cheekbone as well. So I also missed out playing against Everton, but I made my debut against Ipswich about 12 months later, against a bloke called Paul Mariner, who I think he's in the States now, Paul. I think he does.
Yeah.
For ESPN, doesn't he? So kept him quiet for a while, and on the 90th minute, I closed him down, and I slipped and took it past me and knocked it in the top corner. And we lost 1-0, but you know, that's life. But yeah, I played 3 games in the first team. Not, you know, obviously I wanted more, and I guess I got a bit frustrated with the game a little bit at that time, because I felt, you know what, I could play in a few positions. I remember from left back scoring a hat-trick against Coventry City and thinking, well, that's it. You know, I'm pushing, I'm knocking on the door all the time. But it was just the 3 games, and you know, it can be soul destroying as a kid when you really believe that you've got the talent and you've got the ability. And I thought, you know, I can stay at Bolton, I can stay here and just be a squad member and get the odd game. And we'd stayed in the first division. We'd done well the first season, really qualified for Europe. The second season, unfortunately, the gaffer didn't have any money and they weren't able to buy any players, and they were relegated. I think we picked up about 14 points. And I was a bit, you know, do I stay, do we go? And I thought, no. And you know, I need first team football. I want to go somewhere else. And I went and asked the gaffer I want to go on the transfer list, and he put me on the list. And Halifax Town came in, which was too much of a drop, and I just didn't want to go from Bolton, who were then the lower echelons of, which is now the Premier League, to a 3rd division club. It's just what I want. I still had ambition, and I was talking to Halifax, but I was waiting for another offer to come in. And I was absolutely flabbergasted, to be honest, because Wigan Rugby League actually got in touch with me. And, Wigan, I'm not sure how, much knowledge I have in the States in regard to Rugby League, but Wigan were like the Barcelona of Rugby League, if you like. They're the biggest club in Rugby League. And he wanted me, and I thought, well, I've never played a game in my life, never touched a rugby ball in my life. And I thought, I'll talk to them, see what they've got to say. And I spoke to the chairman. He said, look, we believe you'd be really good for us. You're lightning quick, you're strong, you're fearless, which got me into a lot of trouble, I guess, injury-wise. We want you to sign, but we'd like to see it. We're going to offer you a trial. Come down, have a trial, see how you go. So I went down, played for the reserves against Warrington, scored 2 tries. Couldn't catch the ball for toffee, but when I did catch it, no one could catch me, And I remember scoring 2 tries, 2 long distance tries, and he gave me a blank check after the game. He said, "Put a figure down. How much do you want?" I was 21 years of age. I didn't have a clue. I didn't have a clue what to ask for, So I put a figure down, and he said, "Yeah." He said, "Great, yeah." And I thought, my God, what did I ask for double? Should have asked for double, And the rest is history. I guess I went on straight into the first team, and I think when I look back, I was a professional athlete. Rugby league was called a professional sport, but they weren't professional athletes. They trained twice a week. So when I went to training, and you go through the sprinting drills, I was that far ahead of them. In the end, they'd say, right, Roy, you need to go 10 yards back from the rest of the backs, which is the quick lads. And I go 10 yards back, but I was still beating them. And, I think they had great plans for me at the time. And I played every game. Then I played 11 games, the last 11 games of the season for the first team, and scored 4 tries in those games, and which is nearly 1 in 2. So they're quite happy with that. And it was a great start to my career at that stage in rugby league. I wasn't sure, I'll be honest, my dad wasn't sure he was still alive then. And he was advising me, look, don't leave football, stay in professional football. You could go to Halifax, and you never know, you could be picked up and get back to the top end of the sport again. But it was a challenge, and I think my personality, the way it is, I just loved the challenge, and I thought, I'm going to go ahead and see where this leads. I'm going to do my best and see if I can make a name for myself in rugby league. That's how it started.
Was your heart in it though? I mean, where you were in, it's a paycheck and everything, but your mind's got to be going, I need to get back to playing football.
Do you know what? I think the fact that I was coming out in full stadiums, we played in front of 12, 13,000 every week at Wigan, and Wigan, Wigan is as passionate about rugby league as we Scousers are about our football. Mm-hmm. Just as passionate. Not so passionate about the football, sadly, Wigan Athletic, but very, very passionate about the rugby. Very knowledgeable people. And I remember, this is the honest to God's truth, I remember the first game we were playing Workington, and one of their lads put an up and under. It was a sunny day, and he put an up and under, and I got underneath it. This was my first game. I just stopped playing football, as you can imagine, and the ball's coming down from the sun. I couldn't see the ball, and all of a sudden it was in front of me. So I did what came naturally. I headed it, but I headed the point of the rugby ball, and they knocked me out. Oh. And the ball went into touch, and there was 12,000 people screaming, F&L Heaney, you're playing rugby league now, not football. So that was a bit of a rude awakening, but and I was a marked man. I remember there was a few threats before the game. People were saying, your next footballer, you're all wimps, and we're going to find you out, and someone's going to sort you out in the first game, this, that, and the other. But I actually loved it. I had a great time. It was just great playing in front of full stadiums and playing and as an elite sport and as an elite sportsman. Of course, football's my first love and always will be. Liverpool FC, apart from my wife and kids, are my third love. My wife, well, my kids, then my wife, and then Liverpool FC. So yeah, it was strange. It was strange, I would say that. But it was elite sport, and I was playing elite sport for one of the greatest teams in rugby league. So no, I was very proud to play for them. I was proud to pull another famous jersey on, the cherry and white of Wigan Rugby League, now called Wigan Warriors. But no, I was very proud, and I had a great year there. The problem was that the bloke who'd signed me was they decided we got the first time Wigan had ever been relegated, and that was the team I joined, and we got promotion immediately back to the Premier League, but they felt that the manager wasn't up to the job, and they basically sacked him, and then I was sort of in and out of the team. But part of that was my own fault, in a sense, when I look back, because instead of training every day, which is what I should have continued to do, I just did the same as everybody else when I look back in hindsight, and I trained Tuesday and Thursday. And although I was still quicker, my fitness soon started to drop a level. And when that happens, then you do lose a little bit of pace. And instead of being well ahead, I was just ahead, and I was in and out the side. And Wigan were offered a really good deal. It was a world record then transfer. It was myself and another player called Trevor Stockley, and Salford Reds wanted us, and Wigan were offered a lot of money, and they took it, and we both went and played for Salford, and I carried on my career then at Salford. I played one game in a representative game against Fiji for an England 11, so I really was doing that well. And I scored 2 tries in that game, and my future looked really bright. Although if I'm self-critical again, I guess you're right in what you said in a sense. To call anything into question, it was going from a level of football and a level of an athlete. And in football, you live in a bubble. Everything's done for you. Everything's on a plate, if you like. You just got to turn up, and it's a way of life. And then I'm sort of playing this game part-time. Also had a job. Wigan gave me a job. I was working on the ground staff. So I was earning decent money, but it wasn't more money than I was playing football at that stage. But you're right, it wasn't football. It just wasn't football. And I guess inside I was missing it. My fitness sort of faded a wee bit. And there was a game against a team called Bramley, and the ball went out wide for me as a winger to pick up. And I picked the ball up. 12 months prior, I would have strolled into the corner and scored a try, but I had lost a little bit of pace, as I said, and they closed me down. There was 3 of them, and I tried to crash into them on my left shoulder and then get them to crash me into the corner. But it was a bit of a muddy, sticky pitch, and I did crash into them. But as my body went on, my body weight went right, my knee joints completely detached from my shin bone. So it just completely detached, and when I went to hospital, he said it looked like a bomb had gone off in my knee. Everything had just exploded, and there was nothing left. Basically, there was no crucial ligaments left. And I was told then, that's it, you never play sport again, which actually wasn't true, but that's what they said, I'd never play sport again. And again, it was, I'd already been there. If you know, you can look back, and I'd been there, and I thought, again, the dream's over again. But I was married, I had 2 kids, and a family to support, and couldn't go back into football, couldn't play any sport. The knee was that bad, and I just, I remember being almost lost, didn't know what to do, who to contact. Rugby league certainly wasn't as professional as football. It was nothing offered me in regard to surgery. They just sort of said, oh, well, there you go, never mind. We don't have to pay you anymore. Didn't get any medical advice, and they just basically said goodbye, if you like. That's, sorry kid, but that's the way things go in rugby league. I remember my dad contacted the professional rugby league and said, well, if that had happened in football, you're insured and you'd be paid out your insurance money in regard to how long your career would have lasted. And they said, the only way we pay anybody out here, Mr. Heaney, is if you carried out the pine box. So that was the difference between football and rugby league. And it was a hard pill to swallow. But for 2 years, I didn't play any sports. And then I was lucky enough to find a surgeon who rebuilt my knee, really, as best he could. And there was an offer. It was on the Radio City. A club in New Zealand, professional club, were looking for a player manager in a town called Wanganui. My marriage had failed, I guess, because of everything that was going on. And I'd gone through a tough time myself. No one to blame there other than, 2 young people getting married too young, and I had a lot going on in my life. And so my marriage failed. I was single, and I applied, and again, I guess I got the job because I played for Liverpool Football Club. And at that stage, I hadn't got any of my coaching badges. But they said, yeah, job's yours. And I travelled the other side of the world. My knee wasn't perfect, far from it. And we did well. We did quite well. We finished in 6th. It's a similar story, really, to the one Robbie Fowler's going through at the moment. Same league. And obviously, it was a long time ago. This was 1983. And I was having problems with my knee, and I was obviously unable to play less than I would have liked, and I think they wanted me to play more. They'd also were hiring me out to private schools and colleges to coach teams, and they were charging them cash, obviously, and that was paying my wages. Anyway, my meniscus, my cartilage in my knee went, same knee, I needed an operation, so I was out for 12 weeks. I could coach, but I couldn't play, and they felt that they didn't have the money to pay me, even though we were doing really well in the league. We were second in the league. And I got a call one day to say, look, we're not going to renew your contract. We just can't afford it. Can't afford to pay you. I was so angry. I was 12,000 miles away from home. They gave me a house, they gave me a car, petrol. It was a great job, but all of a sudden that's gone. And there was no explanation other than we can't afford to keep you. We just haven't got the money. And I found myself back home then a year later, just over a year later, without a club, and really speaking, nowhere near the player that I was in regards because of the injuries. Didn't know what I was going to do, and someone suggested I go into coaching. And I contacted the PFA, and that was the start of another chapter, really.
I want to ask you, because you've had so many ups and downs, and now I know you're a social worker, right? So the mental health issues, because I'm sure, in the mid 70s and 80s, there was nobody there to actually sit down with you and go through, mental health issues with you. Now they have sports psychologists and everything you ever want as a footballer. You can talk, but back then for you, there was nobody.
No, and it was there were frightening times, and I have to admit, for a while, certainly initially when my career had totally finished at Salford, my way to sort of forget about that was to drink. And for a while, I remember being out every night, and if I couldn't get out of a night time, it was very difficult for me. But it was a way of basically trying to forget what had gone on. And I was in a very, very dark place. And it took me a while to come out of that. The sad thing is that those issues still go on today. Not so much for me, because I've been lucky enough. I've had 2 years of psychotherapy through the PFA, that they put someone, a really gifted psychologist who came to see me. He'd also seen Paul Gascoigne before me. He came to see me. He told me he'd seen Paul Gascoigne, and give me what a CV was, and he was brilliant and certainly turned things around for me in that regard about dark memories. But I've lost friends. There was lads. There was a lad called Chris Thompson, who I think he totaled about 450 games. Chris in professional football, and he came out of it again similar to me through an injury, and then suffered arthritis, which I guess all of us do now in professional sport later on in life. And Chris just sadly didn't want to live, and really did hit the bottle. And old teammates have tried to help him. I've been still in touch with Bolton Wanderers and a lot of the lads there who were broken hearted really. But Chris ended up ending his own life. Drinking, basically drank himself to death. The support just wasn't there. There was no one there for him in those days, in the early, mid-90s, early noughties. It just wasn't there. And you look at the many players who've gone through it. Stan Bowles, who's playing, my era, and lads who have lost everything, lost their houses, lost their marriages. Their life has just been turned upside down by the one just coming out of football and not being able to cope with life outside the game. Because, as I said before, things are done for you. Everything's done. You haven't even got to buy a turkey for Christmas. Simple things like that, that's done. And all of a sudden you're out into the big wide world, and you sink or swim. And it was a case of that years ago, sink or swim. And again, for me, I guess my own being resilient and coming from this city really helped. And I thought, am I going to lie down here? Am I going to do something about it? And I knew I had to re-educate myself, and I was offered the opportunity by Liverpool City Council. It was a new sort of venture then, that they took 10 trainee social workers on, and I did a year as a social worker and qualified, and had 10 years as a social worker, which really helped. It wasn't professional football. Nothing ever is, or professional rugby. It's not the same. Whatever you do after being a professional athlete, you're chasing something all the time. But it was a great 10 years as a social worker. And again, I had to retire from that because of ill health. With the arthritis is now in every compartment in the spine, and I've had one knee replaced. I'm due to have another one replaced. But I had a great 10 years, and it's it certainly set me up securely for the family, which was my most important thing. My wife's now a social worker, so is my daughter. So
oh, nice.
Yeah, they followed on. But you're right. I mean, I'm writing a book. I am actually writing a book. I made a decision through seeing Dave as a psychologist. I thought, I've got to get my story out there. And it's not about how many copies I sell. For me, it is about telling the story of what went on then, and the fact that there was no support at all. The PFA are absolutely amazing, and they've supported me in so many different ways. They paid for me to go on my UEFA full license, which I did, and I gained my UEFA full license coaching badge. I have that, still have that. Other things, education-wise, you're going to pay for university. PFA are fantastic, but at that time, there just wasn't enough there in regard to mental health and helping ex-professionals and current professionals to deal with mental health issues. They're much more proactive now, as you say. They even have a helpline, and you can talk to somebody. It's a 24-hour helpline out there now, that if you need someone, someone there to pick up the phone and listen. I still think there's a way to go for them. I think for me, there still needs to be a little bit more proactive instead of reactive, because there are many I know for a fact, you know, many ex-professionals out there, older than me and younger than me, who are really, really struggling with life after football, and they need help. They do need help.
Well, I think, you know, one of the main things also, Roy, is people need to tell somebody, you know, because as men, you know, we really don't like to let our guard down. You know, I mean, even like the story with Aaron Lennon, you know, where he fully had a breakdown, you know, but we've just got to, you know, say something to somebody. But yeah, you know, these days, mental health is massive, you know, especially now with the pandemic as well, people having to stay home, you know, people can't pay their rent anymore, you know, can't pay bills. So, you know, we all have to like look after one another. But I love your story because you, again, you know, not, you know, being a Scouser, like you just keep getting knocked down. That's the type of people, you know, that we are, and we keep getting back up and just going, no, I'm not giving up. And that's why I wanted you on, because I love it. You know, so many times you've had injuries and you've just said, nah, I'm not giving up, you know, and I love that. I love stories like that.
I think you can apply that to life, can't you? In general, you know, football is a huge issue for all supporters, and most of us are so passionate about our clubs and the game. But I think you can equate it to any walk of life. Sometimes things happen, things are taken out of your hands. There's just, you know, we never think that old saying, "It's never going to happen to me." Well, it can happen to any of us, and things happen in life where the control can totally be taken out of your life. There's nothing you can do about it. It's so hard to get through things on your own. It's impossible. We all need help sometimes, and we all need to put our hand up and say, you know, I'm struggling here. I really am struggling. I need some help. And I know that's really hard for some blokes to do. But human beings, sometimes, you know, whatever sex you are, it can be really difficult to ask for help. And sometimes we don't even recognise that we're struggling. I'm particularly lucky, I guess, because of my connections through professional sport, and I've been able to access help through the PFA, which I am, as I said before, I'm so grateful for. And, you know, look at another name, Gary Speed's another one who sadly took his own life. More needs to be done, and I guess not just in professional sport, in life, because as I say, nobody knows what's around the corner. And if I've learned anything, it is about living life to the full, enjoying the moments, not just now, but looking back and being proud of what you've achieved in the past. Because for me, you know, I've got to be honest, there's times for many, many years, I didn't feel any pride at all in what I've achieved and the level that I've played. I was that locked into this negative feeling of everything being taken away, not once but twice, and I wasn't really able to enjoy what I'd done. And that's really sad, I think, because, you know, whatever your dream is, whether that's being a professional footballer or an engineer or to fly an aeroplane, you have to strive to do your best to get there. Sometimes we just fall a little bit short, but it's not for the ones to try. And it is being about, you know, being proud of what you've achieved, being proud of what you've tried to do. And if you're struggling, you've got to tell someone, because for many years in my life, and that ended it for me. You know, I've been married 3 times. Thank God I found, you know, I've been with Debbie now for nigh on 30 years, which seems a long time when I look back. But 2 of my managers failed. When I'm really honest with myself, it was because of, I guess, what I was going through and the dark places that I was at. And there was no one there to ask. There was nobody to contact. Nobody really understood, not even my own parents. But things have changed now. Mental health is being looked at in a much more positive way. There is more help. It's not perfect. Certainly in this country at the moment, there still needs to be an awful lot more done, I feel, in regards to mental health. The PFA are doing the best. The FA are trying now to sort of catch up. But it's no slight on anyone, because it can happen to anyone. It really can. And whether you're a millionaire or whether, you know, you're a pauper, it can happen to any of us. It really can. It's how you handle it and who you see that.
Yeah, so, you know, I've never played professional sport, but you know, in high school and then after Sunday league playing, and I did both my knees in as well, and I couldn't really play, and I was devastated, you know, because that's what you look forward to. You know, but you know, you go play footy with your mates, and then, you know, afterwards you go down the pub and stuff. But I would meet them, like, you know, at the pub, that they'd all be talking about the game, and I just felt so removed that I stopped going down the pub, because I couldn't hear it, you know, and that's just from just like, you know, a leisurely game.
Yeah.
So it affects people, you know, differently, whether you're professional or, you know,
do you know what? Do you know what? I think that's so true. I think that's something that I learned later on. It doesn't matter what level or what sport you play or what level you play at. Once it's not just a game. It's your social life. It's part of what you do. It's who you are. And I think when that's missing out of your life, that camaraderie, that you know, that's what you do. Saturday, not Tuesday, maybe Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, whenever you play, whatever level it is, you love it and you look forward to it. And it's not just about the game, it's about that camaraderie, it's about mixing with other people. And when that goes, you're isolated. And sometimes, as you just said, you can isolate yourself because you can't play, you can't do what you really want to do because your body's not letting you. And that can cause serious problems. And, you know, my last club, I ended up, I carried on, believe it or not, till I was 32, which I was stupid when I look back, because I was really struggling, but I couldn't stop. And I played on one leg till I was 32. My last club was Bill Shankly's first club. Bill Shankly's first club was Workington. His last club was Liverpool. Not that I'm putting myself up in his category, but my first club was Liverpool and my last club was Workington. And I was playing on one leg, and, you know, I'd have good games and bad games, and then that came to an end. And I just played Sunday League football for as long as I could till my legs just totally gave way. And it was just that knowing that I could be playing football on a Sunday, as you say, go and have a pint with the lads, having a laugh, having a talk about other things, just away from normal life and normal worries and paying the bills. And when you can't do that, you know, I still dream. I wake up in the morning, still dream I'm playing for Liverpool or I'm playing for Bolton or whoever. And then I'm 60 years of age. I'd be finished now anyway, for God's sake, but I still dream about it. And, you know, wake up and I can't play. And it's an awful feeling. It's an empty feeling because you just miss that playing football, whatever level that is. You're so right. I agree with that.
Yeah, I'm glad I had a mother that actually was like, you go down there, even if you can't play, go watch your mates, because then you're still, you know, in it, but you're just not playing. So you've watched the game, so you can talk about it, and then go to the pub. So you know, she gave me the slap around the head and said, stop being so bloody morbid. You know, like mothers are, in, you know, around Liverpool. They're like,
oh God,
get out there, stop being a soft git.
My dad was you know, so my dad was daft, but my mother, my God, you wouldn't cross me mother. Wouldn't cross me mother, but she was as hard as nails, my mum, and that's, you know, that's what it's like in Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean,
mums are to be loved, but they're also to be feared sometimes as well. You know,
Well, I mean, like, you know, when my dad used to get pissed off at me, like, you know, I wouldn't be so afraid of him. I'd be afraid of my mum.
What, you're going to get off your mum?
Because well, I mean, my mum never hit me, but my mum would give me the stare.
Yeah, that was enough.
I'm going to kill you. And it's like, oh, crap.
That was enough.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks so much, Roy. I hope you do. I really do hope you write that book because, you know...
It's for other people as well. For me, people are still struggling. And I'm going to do it and include the PFA. Hopefully they can have some input and actually tell people what's out there as well and what my experiences were and other people's as well. Not just in football or rugby, but in life. You know, I've been really, really fortunate. People will say to me, God, you've been so unlucky. I used to believe that. I don't anymore. I was very, very fortunate to have the years that I had in professional sport, so lucky. And that's helped me in other avenues in my life in regard to social work and getting other jobs. So I wasn't unlucky. Yeah, I think bad things happen, but bad things happen to everyone. Yeah. It's how you go on from there. And as a Scouser, as I say, as you know, we're nothing if not resilient. And as your mother said, just, you know, get your head together and get back in the game and carry on and sort yourself out.
You got to think, how many people have passed the ball to Kevin Keegan? You have. How many people have ran down the wing with Stevie Highway? You have. So it's little things like that. How many people have been able to put on the Liverpool jersey?
That means a lot to me. That does mean a lot to me. And that lie bed, you know, still today, 30 years we've waited, and this title win. You know what it's like if we lose. I'm miserable for a week. You know, I really am. It's still a massive part of my life. But getting over the line is just amazing. And like every other Liverpool supporter at the moment, I cannot wait to be able to celebrate properly.
I know. Well, you know, I was coming home for that.
Yeah.
You know, and then pandemic happened. So, yeah, as soon as, you know, they say it's good to travel safely back, you know, because I have a feeling they won't do the parade till probably next year.
December, January. That's what I'm hearing. Yeah.
And I'll be on that plane.
Yeah. Make sure you do, because let's hope it's not another 30 years. But
oh, good God! then I'll defo need to like talk to somebody mental health. So yeah, talking of mental health. Oh my God! Yeah, I turn 50 next Monday, 24th. Right. You know,
Big 5-0.
So I never ever thought it would take Liverpool 30 years, because you know I was home back when we last won it. Never, you know. Of course, I'm not that, you know, big-headed to think Liverpool were going to win it and win it and win it. I thought, you know, maybe we'll have a couple of off years.
Yeah,
and we'll get back on it, but not 30 years. We just had the nearly teams, you know.
I think we're building the right way now as a club. I was lucky enough. I forgot to mention it. I was actually on the supporters committee for a year at Liverpool. I looked after the members for 2 years, and they were great 2 years. I was involved with the club, and obviously attended some of the directors' meetings, and you get to see a little bit about how the club's run now, and I can only see more success, not just because of the players, but the club's obviously run so much better now than it was in the 90s and the early noughties. You know, the group we've got at the moment from America are fantastic. The businessmen, they run the club the right way, and they've got all the right people in the right positions. So for me, the club is just going to go from strength to strength, and that's not just because of the playing side. I just think, you know, FSG have got everything right in regard to the business, the way the business is run. Because that's the way it is now. If the business is not run properly, then you're going to struggle as a football team. And FSG have got bags and bags of experience, and they're doing a great job. And long may that continue, because while it's at the helm, I just see more success for the club.
Well, what I like also is, you know, they've made quite a few mistakes. Yeah. But they've just like anyone, but they've learned, and they've turned it around within 1 or 2 days. Or, you know, at the most, maybe a week. You know, the owners are going to make mistakes. I get a bit tired of, like, you know, some people just go on about FSG this and like all they're just money bags, and like
brainless.
It makes no sense. They've done exactly what they said they were going to do. Expanded Anfield. They've got the Kirby massive complex coming, you know, and they've given like free rein for Klopp. Like
they've been incredible. They've been absolutely incredible, and you know, I'm sure they are in it for the long term, because that for me came across when I was there with the committee for 2 years, and I'm speaking to people that obviously they'd employed, and they're not going to throw money away. If people expect them to go and spend £100 million every year, that's not going to happen. And I wouldn't want that as a fan. It's not reality. It's not how you win things. It's not. You don't get longevity out of that. They're doing things the right way. They're fantastic businessmen, and the people that they've got at the club. Someone said to me once, you know, if you surround yourself with good people around you, then you've got a chance. And I think that's what FSG have done. They employ the best. They've got all the experts in place. Jurgen Klopp, what can we say about him? You know, well, your face lights up as soon as you talk about his name. We smile, don't we? Because he's had such an effect on the club. The terrifying thing is he's only a human being, and one day, you know, he's going to say, time for me to go, and please, may that be a long time. But him and FSG are a fantastic, formidable machine, and certainly for the next 4 or 5 years, I don't doubt that Liverpool are going to go on to have more and more success.
Oh yeah, well, more than City.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, well, that was a great result last night, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, again, it shows that money doesn't buy you everything, you know, because the Arabs have pumped money into that team over and over again, and there's no soul. I do feel bad for like the original City fans, not these plastic ones, you know, that have come.
Don't even come to watch the game. Yeah.
It's the diehards that, you know, were back in Division 2. You know,
in the 70s and 80s. Yeah.
I feel the soul has been ripped from that club. You know, and a bit like Chelsea as well. You know, same there. You know, pump money in. It costs money to run a football club, but Liverpool have just done it right. You know, it's from the Shankly era. Like, you know, we just had Paul Moran on, and he was telling us.
Paul's a mate of mine on Facebook, so I know Paul, but great lad. He is the absolute spit of his dad, you know.
Yeah, he is.
I was speaking to him the other day, and I said, my God, Paul, you are the absolute image of your old fella. And he went, well, he wasn't a bad role model. I said, no, one of the best. And he was. Great coach, by the way, as well. Great coach, his dad. Superb. But you're right. I mean, we are different. We are a different group of fans. I'm not talking about Liverpool. I'm talking about worldwide. We have a fan base that's worldwide, and because of the love of the club, I think we all have one thing in common, and that is what we've just said, is the heart and soul of Liverpool Football Club. It is epitomised in all our supporters, whether that's the streets of Liverpool 8 or Delhi in India. We all love the club. We're not a club that buys success. It's heart and soul. It's historic. It's a club that is unique and will always be unique. And you know, as long as I live, as long as I've lived, I've been a Red, and I've hopefully more grandchildren to come, and they'll be Reds as well.
Better make sure they are. Yeah, I've already got the girls in the gear, so they two of them already know the Bobby song, so I'm doing all right. So that's good. But I just see us getting better and better. I mean, to me, you know, people talk about give Klopp a statue. I think you should give Michael Edwards a statue. That man, you know, has done brilliant in the wheeling and dealing. I mean, we have probably got one of the best left backs in the world for £8 million. That in itself is just amazing. And now we just got, you know, the Greek lad.
Yeah, who looks a player. He looks
the deal, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he does.
He
does. And that's only going to be good for Andy Robertson, because as good as Andy Robertson is, sometimes, I'm not saying that he will, but sometimes over a long period of time, you can become a little bit lethargic if you think there's nobody pushing you for your place. And this lad's going to push him for his place. So I think, if anything, that will make Andy Robbo, might even bring it to another level. He's got to, because, as you say, he's got somebody now who's breathing down his neck and wants his position.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You know, we finally honing that squad. You know, I think one or two more players, you know, need to come in to just.
I hope so. Yeah.
I mean, talk of Thiago from Bayern.
Well, it's big this morning, that, isn't it? Well,
yeah.
Here now, and late early evening here now in Liverpool. But there's big talk that it's a done deal. I'm not so sure. Noises from Liverpool are that they've no interest in him, but the media are saying it's a done deal. I'm not so sure. I know he's a good footballer, he's quality, and he would bring something else to the team. But I'm with you. We do need to maybe buy another midfielder. Although I think we've got a young lad coming through at the moment, Curtis Jones, who's more than capable of doing the job. And I think somebody to push the front three. Loved Divock Origi, love his attitude. Special player for the big games. But I just think we need a little bit more quality up there to push those lads onto better and bigger things, you know.
Well, if one of them goes down injured, you know,
that's the problem we've got.
That's the thing. If Mane gets injured, you can't expect Origi to go on the left.
He's not.
Got no pace. No pace whatsoever.
So we then have to change the way we play, and that has an effect on the team, doesn't it? But you know, all credit to Origi. He's been, you know, he's done brilliant. Again, it's that resilience. He's got that. There was times when I think most people thought he was going to go through the door a couple of years ago when he went to Wolfsburg, was it? Mm-hmm. And you know, he wasn't doing it there, and he's come back. And Klopp's got the absolute maximum from his player. But I agree with you. I think we need a wide player come striker. Maybe one more midfielder. Definitely the centre half now. Mm-hmm. We need a bit of experience there. But, you know, FSG are in control, and if they say the money's not there at the moment, we have to bite the bullet, because we are living in unprecedented times, and the club comes first. You know, we haven't got billions to throw away. Like Chelsea.
But we've got James Milner. he can play like 11 positions.
He's for me, he's our best. I'd go out on a limb, and if I could buy anyone again over the last 5 years, it would be him. I think he's been an amazing signing. Cost us nothing, for God's sake, absolutely nothing. And he is a model pro. He is a shining light for all the younger lads. You know, you look at Curtis Jones, and if they can have half the career that lad's had, then they'll be doing pretty well in football. He's an amazing footballer, great character, and an absolutely fantastic professional. He really is a credit to the business he is.
Yeah, I hope he stays on and coaches. But obviously, you know, with Leeds coming up,
he might be tempted. Yeah, maybe next season he might be tempted for one more year. And who can blame him? Who can blame him for that? Because, you know, let's be honest. If in his shoes, would we have another year at Liverpool? If we could have it, we would. So I wouldn't blame him for that. I hope he comes back, because I think he would be a good coach. There's no guarantee, there never is, but I think he'd be a good coach. And if one thing Liverpool do well, it's that longevity and keeping people at the club. And, you know, Steven Gerrard, who knows where that's going to lead in the future, and keep them at the club and utilise them later on, you know. But he's been an absolute fantastic player for Liverpool. He really has. And for me, he's been the best buy in the last 5 years.
Yeah, he's a model footballer, you know. Yeah. He stays out of trouble, drinks his tea, cuts his grass.
Is Ribena?
Yeah. Yeah, me mate a couple of weeks ago brought a bottle over. I was like, oh, get in, because I haven't had Ribena in like probably 10 years. So I was like, oh, sound good.
I love the States. We actually come over most years to the States, my family. It's usually Florida, but we come there at least once every other year. We're supposed to be in Vegas at the moment, actually, and obviously we just haven't been able to come over because of there's some of these unprecedented times. We just haven't been able to make it. But we've rebooked for next year, so we will be over in the States next year.
Yeah, you should come visit. Austin's,
Yeah, Austin, Texas, yeah.
Beautiful place, great barbecue. But try not to come between
bit warm.
July and December.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hot as hell. I mean, today it's up 107.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just like, wow. The earth is burning.
Yeah. Climate change. I mean, we've been great. It's been closer. It's been 95, 96 here over the last few days.
Oh wow!
It's been really good. The thunderstorms we've had have been unbelievable. But yeah, we've had some fantastic weather in the UK, and I guess that's down to climate change. Tropical nights. It hasn't gone below 20 degrees, believe it or not, of a night time for the last week. So we're being spoilt at the moment, but that's not going to last long, is it?
Yeah. So, what's your predictions for next season? That is like 2-3 weeks away. That's mad.
It is. My only worry is our 12 man's not going to be there for a while. That's a concern that the cop obviously aren't there and the fans aren't able to come to the stadium. It's going to be a strange season. I think it's going to be some strange results.
Yeah,
we're going to be there or thereabouts. I think we're certainly going to be there or thereabouts. I'm not going to go out on the limb and say, we certainly won't win it as easily as we've done this season. It's going to be tougher. The virus is not going to help us in regard to that with having no fans in. But I think Liverpool are going to be there or thereabouts. And I've just said before, I think we're going to be there or thereabouts for the next 4 or 5 years. Personally, I'd like to be in the later stage of the Champions League again. It's really hurt not watching the other clubs at the moment and Liverpool not being there where we belong. And so I'd like to see us go on another run in the Champions League. Maybe do it again for the 7th time. The league, obviously that's our bread and butter, and it's what Shanks. In fact, I met Shanks. Well, I give some advice. What he actually told me, and suits Liverpool at the moment, is I'd gone down. Shanks had just left the club when I'd signed, but he was at the ground, as he always was. He found it difficult to stay away, and he just had a blazing row with Bob Paisley, and actually seeing it, they had a right eye ding dong together. Didn't know what it was about, but it's obviously one of the reasons he was asked not to come to the ground anymore. But he took a few of us together, young lads, and he said, anyone got any questions? I said, well, what's your advice on getting to the top, boss? Because he still called him that then. And he said, Sam, if you aim for the ceiling, you hit the bloody floor. He said, but if you aim for the stars, you'll hit the bloody ceiling. So basically he was saying, aim as high as you can, and I think Liverpool have got, we're in a stage right now where we can have hopes and say, let's go and do it again. Let's go and win the league again. They're good enough.
Yeah.
They've got the best manager in the world. They've got a great squad. We need to add to it, as you say. If we do, why not? Why can't we go on and win it again?
Yeah, I want to get back to Wembley FA Cup. I do. Yeah.
It's been downgraded a bit, that hasn't it, over the years. It doesn't feel the same anymore. But yeah, it's got memories for us as supporters, isn't it? Great memories. Used to be our second home. It would be nice to win the FA Cup. That would be good.
Just win it all.
Yeah. Who knows? But if you've got to aim as high as you can, and I think that the lads, the mentality, they are mentality monsters, aren't they? As he said, the mentality of this group, and that's why I believe they will go on and be successful again. Is the mentality? They've, without a doubt, the talented footballers. But going back and talk about Scousers and talk about this city and what it breeds and what it brings you. And that's why I'm a bit worried about the Kop not being there. it does breed that mentality of, don't tell me I can't do it, because I can, and we will. And I think that, you know, the club's got that. This bunch of lads seem to have it. They're all mentality monsters. And I really do think there's no guarantee, but I think for the next 4 or 5 years, Liverpool will win a few more trophies. What they are, I don't know. But I'd love us to get back in the European Cup final. FA Cup would be nice. But going back, our bread and butter's the league, isn't it? And
yeah, definitely.
another championship would be great, yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Roy.
Thank you for inviting me. I really enjoyed it.
Please keep in touch with us.
Will do.
Also, let us know, like I said before, how the books, you know, will be coming about. So
I'll send you a copy. I'll send you a copy as soon as it's done. It's going to take me a year to do. I think a lot of research to be done, and I've just started it. So I will definitely send you a copy once it's done.
Autograph it.
No problem.
All right. Cheers, Roy.
Thank you.
Take care.
And you. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.